Drica, in March 2024, suffered a very severe case of dengue. Feeling weak as if she was fading away, she was unconscious for about 5 minutes, leading to a near-death experience, an NDE. To her, however, this period seemed much longer. She felt pulled to a place where, incredibly, all her questions were answered immediately. Understanding that this was happening, she sought answers about what this place we live in is, why we are here, where she was, and where we go after life. And surprisingly, unlike other experiences, after returning, she did not forget what she was shown. Hello, I'm Marcus, and it's a pleasure to welcome you here to Beyond the Life We Live. I hope you feel at home and absorb the lesson from this story we are about to tell. While you're here, please like and subscribe to the channel, as this is very important to us, helping us bring new and impactful stories to you. Drica remembers that it all started after contracting dengue. It was a very serious period when her platelets dropped dramatically, and the doctor who attended her was alarmed, recommending immediate hospitalization. Before being admitted, she had already gone through tough moments at home, with her health worsening each day, even while taking the appropriate medications. Drica describes that during this period, she constantly felt as if she was disappearing, as if something was draining her strength. Until one Sunday morning, after a week of feeling very unwell, the sensation of disappearing intensified, as if an invisible force was pulling her out of herself, specifically through her head. Fear took over her, and fearing she might faint and be left unnoticed, she gathered all her strength to endure it, until her mind went completely blank. And while she was being rescued, her NDE began. She felt that the force she felt leaving through her head increased abruptly, like a kind of energy pulling her somewhere. Realizing she might be facing death, fear overwhelmed her. It was then that, upon realizing it, she traversed a tunnel that seemed to be formed by a spiral of vibrant colors. Upon exiting the tunnel, she found herself surrounded by a vast space. There, the lightness and well-being were incredible, very different from the suffering she felt moments before. There was no pain, only peace and absolute bliss. She noticed infinite connections spreading across the horizon, which delighted her, almost lost in that beauty. However, her questioning mind soon awakened, and Drica wondered what she was doing there. It's important to understand that from here on, it is essential to keep an open mind regarding the information she received. Looking at herself, she saw herself as a part of those connections, marveling at the realization that she belonged to that place. At that moment, answers began to come, like packages of knowledge being downloaded directly into her mind, and even though these answers were extremely complex, due to her increased understanding there, everything made perfect sense. Then, when she asked where she was, Drica was transported to a higher plane, from where she could see everything. She saw herself as a central connection, surrounded by many other connections, each representing something distinct. At that instant, she understood that all that was around her was part of her. The information she received indicated that she needed to make a leap, leaving the connection she was in to join another, and from there, she would become something else. And when she did this, she realized it was no longer correct or appropriate to return to the plane she was in her case, the physical life she knew. It was there she understood that the soul needs to evolve, to change. At this moment, she started to feel a sensation of diminishing. Drica then became so tiny that she entered her own connection, and there she managed to see other small versions of connections that reflected the large connection she was part of. Observing closely, she noticed that some of them were dimmed or flawed, indicating that their energies were not in as good harmony as when she observed from outside. Seeing these imperfections, she questioned how she could fix the problem. It was then she realized that the flaws represented unbalanced energies within herself. Although her connection seemed perfect at first glance, it still contained areas with gaps, points of imbalance that needed adjustment. In this state, Drica was shocked to understand that she was facing all her possibilities of existence, each of them being one of these connections, suggesting that the figure she saw was a representation of these multiple existences. Each point represented a different possibility of reality, both on Earth and in other places across time and dimensions. However, Drica, always questioning, asked how she could make this leap to change from one connection to another. The answer she received was about the importance of connection. To exist as a unique being, there needs to be a restriction of experiences. This restriction means that part of the knowledge and information is removed so that a single connection can exist, because if she had total access to all knowledge, she would not be an individual entity. Drica understood that if she had total knowledge of all her possible realities and choices, she would not be herself, but rather part of something else that forms her. Therefore, to be a unique person, it is necessary to have a restriction of this information, and because of that, this knowledge is erased from us when we choose to live our lives on Earth. The human goal on Earth is to achieve something called transcendence. While in a single life, there is a restriction of experiences. In transcendence, the opposite occurs, which is the addition of these experiences. This involves seeking knowledge about life, the universe, and understanding where we come from and who we are. This quest for true and meaningful information is what allows us to transcend. This transcendence would be the desire of that greater being, which we believe to be the place where the being we call God might be. The place from which everything came. What was most interesting was that Drica realized that this place is constantly pulling us back to it. But to achieve this transcendence in the healthiest way possible, it is necessary to add experiences that truly make sense and that we acquire during our life journeys. Based on this, Drica realized she needed to make a leap back to Earth. This leap involved choosing between different possibilities. Some of these possibilities were more harmonious, while others were more challenging. The information she received revealed that it was not she who chose where she would go, nor the other connection to which she would also belong. And what Drica emanates at the moment determines the reality with which she aligns. And this synchronizes with others, bringing her closer to realities that match her current reality. This synchronization can lead to other realities ranging from the most harmonious and balanced to the most challenging and unbalanced. Parallel realities are variations of your current life, where you might be experiencing different circumstances, and in each of them, you might be living in a different place, with a different identity, or even on a different planet. She also understood that some of these advanced realities belong to higher dimensions where there is no physical body. You exist as a field or energy. Even though you do not have a physical body in these dimensions, you can still exist as consciousness, with each one representing a small part of your totality and essence. What shocked Drica the most was realizing that her experience reveals that this new life is the result of combining previous lives, creating a new version of yourself based on the merging of the lives you were experiencing. And when you die, you simply move to a new reality, carrying all the experiences you gained in life, not disappearing. Your old existence remains in its original space, and a new space is created specifically to accommodate this new version of yourself. That's why it is important to live well, as the destiny ahead is not our conscious choices, but rather reflections of your current life. What you live determines the tone or color you express in the new existence. It is possible to change these shades as you add more experience to your life, reflecting a continuous process of evolution and growth. Something she realized involves at least 12 stages of evolution. Unconsciously, Drica finds herself awake again, being assisted. After recovering, she reflected on some things she experienced in that place. Although she did not encounter any figures, as in standard NDEs, this experience brought an interesting light, as it explains what is not mentioned in other experiences, or is mentioned but then erased from memory upon return, and gives us the idea that our higher consciousness, whether in parallel, multidimensional forms, or even off-planet, is trying to help us evolve and find wisdom in difficult times. It makes us understand the true purpose of life in a continuous process of learning and growth until one day we can reach the direction of our true home.